Thursday. How you guys doing?
How we doing, Dummies?
Here we are.
It's us, man. A
We're
week
back
later.
down to 4.
We've been waiting all week.
We have. It seems like it goes that way, you know.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's Thursday, and we can't wait for Thursday.
Lots of good
Bring it on.
comments coming around.
Yeah.
We've tried a lot of Scotch, boys.
Yeah.
But we got a new one.
Is
we
that a bad
never
thing?
had this. No.
So tell the story about the liquor store.
So
Yeah, but it's getting to the point where you can't go in the liquor store because you already drank all that stuff.
right.
So, but there was a new liquor store that opened up, and even though I'm not going to mention their name and I really can't stand them, it was on the way home, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to pop in here
Check
and see
it
what
out.
they've got, see if they got some cool stuff that we haven't tried yet, right?
And look what we found.
And so I perused their selection, which was actually pretty extensive, but it wasn't big enough for us.
Not extensive
I
enough.
hate to say it.
Seeing as
there
we're
was-
at like 100 reviews.
There was only about 5 bottles on their shelf that we hadn't already tried. But I picked up 2 of the ones that we hadn't tried. We got the Scapa, and I picked up a bottle of Jura that we haven't tried
So
yet.
we'll be
which
getting
was-
into that sooner or later.
Yeah, but
Good stuff.
tonight we've got the Skiren. Is that
Yeah.
what
So
Skiren.
Scapa,
Skiren.
the Orcadian is actually the name.
There you go.
Orkney.
Yeah.
Way up north.
Way up north.
Way up
Up
north.
Right
North,
next
yo.
to Highland Park.
And the Arctic Circle.
Right. Yeah, and a few
Really?
ice cubes. So Scapa, the distillery, 1885. Obviously, pretty typical story on distilleries when you talk about the history of distilleries in Scotland. Some interesting things about Scapa, though, is during the First World War, right off of the coast of where the distillery is where the German fleet was scuttled after the war, after World War One, and then I guess during World War One, the distillery almost burned down and was actually saved by some of the local navy that came
Oh, really?
literally over by
To
boat
save
to
the
save
booze.
the booze.
Good for them.
Put the fire out.
Good on ya.
And we appreciate it.
Yeah, right. It did go through some obviously mothballing and selling and buying
That's a
of
shocker.
hands. Shut down, mothballed in '94, I believe. They opened it back up in 2004-ish or something like that. And then it finally ended up in the hands of Chivas Brothers, who are the current owners right now. So this particular bottle is a little bit different. Trying to research
It's
right?
an NAS.
Right.
And they it's a new fill American oak
That's right.
is what they dump the liquid
Which is
into.
going to be interesting. I'm going to try to keep an
First
open mind
filled
here.
American oak casks.
So,
But-
beer,
We got a little bit confused in researching it because there was a 16,
yes,
right?
this isn't that.
Right. So the 16 they started offering in 2008, and they've already discontinued that. So they only ran it
Years ago.
for 7 or 8 years.
They
So
ran
that's
out.
kind of
I
curious.
think they ran out of
Wow.
juice, and apparently it was extremely popular.
Damn.
A very tasty bottle.
Looks like we
and
missed the boat.
So
I'm
this-
sure we've got a couple of viewers out there that
Oh, yeah.
have a
They've got
bottle in their
and
collection.
They've got
we'll
it.
be curious to hear
I
about
have some
that.
names on the top of the list, and I'm sure
Right.
they'll be happy to tell us how
Yeah,
that compares
I've
to
got
this.
3 bottles of my own, and you know,
So 40%.
what's the price? We got the price yet?
Well, it's $85.
Yeah.
So it was a little salty for an NAS, but the reason I bought it was because we haven't had a Scapa yet,
Right.
and we need to try one. And we do enjoy Highland Park, and we just had a Highland Park that was quite tasty.
Damn delicious.
So I really kind of wanted to try this out and see what they had going on. And even though NAS can be kind of hit or miss, we've had some that were kind of hidden gems, even at the
Right.
price point that they sold it for.
Absolutely.
You never know. So we're going to give this a shot.
That's
It's
kind of part of the course these days too with NASs. I mean,
Okay.
they're everywhere. So
got. Does it have some island in there, or is it more of a Highlandish?
No,
island.
I don't smell any. I smell smoke.
you smell
do.
smoke?
The oak.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh,
You know
no
what?
Yeah,
smoke.
there's a little oak on the nose.
Shit.
Yeah. So,
It is
I
kind
get that iodine smell.
Really? I don't get that at all.
of.
There's,
I get maybe a hint of
something
that
different
there,
in there that I'm trying. That's why I had to get the
It's
flavor wheel out because there's something on the nose that I can't explain.
well, it's
There's oak in there. You can smell. It's like almost that oak sawdust on a newly sanded wood.
Yep,
It's really
and
fresh. oak.
it's got that vanilla honey.
it's very
wonder how much
honey
they
to
do
me.
it.
I got a lot of honey.
So it
But there's
does.
something
sweet
else in
honey.
there too.
Yeah.
And I do get a little bit of the iodine.
Almost like grass, like a little grass or greenish
I'll
grass.
give you that. Might be what it is that I smell a little bit in there.
Not earth, but just the grass. You know the
Yeah, heather.
yeah.
Solvent.
No.
There's a sweet
There's a little bit
flavor
of
down
green.
there too, but
There's
there's
a little
something
bit of
that's like
green in there.
tangy
There's
that I
green
can't
in there.
identify, and I'm wondering when I take a sip if I'll be like, oh yeah, it's that.
Actually, my first sip was nice and creamy. Didn't have that.
Was it now?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So it doesn't say anything about non-chill filter, no
Hello
E150, or natural coloring. So we can't assume that that's. I like the color of it.
That's all honey and smooth.
Really.
It is creamy.
It is
That's-
bright.
It's honey
Bright
and
and
cream
creamy.
right there.
You know, I will say the alcohol on the nose was hardly there at all, but when I had a sip, it opened my nose up for a second. For 40%, I mean, that's not that much. I don't know.
You get the alcohol. I
mean, the first sip, it was like right in the front nose,
What
and then it
is
was
that? What is that? Because I'm getting it on my finish now. Maybe it's part of that oak, the oak
probably
barrel.
the oak.
It must be something from the oak that's pulling, because it's pulling it in the nose and it's pulling it out in the finish too.
I definitely taste that.
That's oak for sure.
That first fill oak. Absolutely. I mean, it just tastes like new oak to me.
But it's not bourbony.
And it's not
You
charred.
know what I mean?
No,
it
it's
doesn't
not
have
bourbon.
that kind
It's
of thing
definitely
going
not
on
as
at all.
sweet as bourbon, but
No.
um,
Well, that's because of the making.
But it's
I
got
was going to say it comes from a different make.
it's got that oak influence though. It's got that
Oh,
vanilla and
It's apple. It's a hint of green apple.
green apple.
No.
That's what I got. I don't care about him. I was hoping that would be his. But
I don't care
No,
what he
it's,
says.
it's like
nope.
it's like a tobacco or a sweat or that fainty smell that it's kind of on the nose. And
Interesting.
plastic solvent. I'm not sure what I'm pulling out of there.
Yeah,
No, and maybe it's melon. There's a melon. I don't know.
I think it's acidity, something.
there's a fruit quality to it, like melons and apples. I got a little bit of pear,
Yeah, just a hint though, not very strong.
but it's
You have to search for
it's got a nice sugary quality about it too,
You know,
like
the
honey
mouthfeel
and
and the flavor, I think, is better than I was anticipating based on the nose.
So you were looking at different reviews in this. We were trying to find out a little bit more about this bottle, and you had made a comment that a lot of people seem to either love it or hate it. Right? It's either there's no middle ground on this bottle, and I'm not sure I
disagree
agree
with
with
that.
that. I don't agree with that. I see plenty of middle ground here. I don't.
Yep.
I'll
Me
give
too.
it a couple drops, man. Come on.
Throw me some drops of that.
It's not
More?
gonna, yeah, a couple more. It's not gonna hurt it. I think it can hang.
They did change the nose. They took out that off smell that I was getting.
I get the malt now,
Yeah.
but it's still got the honey flavor.
A little bit more than because I didn't.
Not get as much flavor.
Boy, oh boy.
I like this so far.
I do too. After that first sip, the second sip was just damn near. It was completely different, a lot easier.
It's a very fine taste to it.
It's
All right, I'm ready to go on this.
Do
all
it.
right. Let the
All
man,
right.
let the man go.
So as we were talking, that the first nose on it was different than I was expecting, and I think it's kind of different than that I've had it before. There's something floral or just a little different on the nose. You do get some oak.
Mm-hmm.
You get sweetness. I didn't either through nose or taste, no alcohol burn or anything for me on this one. 40 proof, not too surprising. But when I tasted it, that palate was much creamier and smooth and sweet, and a little. It changes to oak on the finish, but it's not like a charred, heavy oak. It has that light oak flavor, a little, for lack of a better word, sawdust. See, that's kind of what comes to mind when I do it, but it's subtle. It comes in and builds on the finish. Probably not my main wheelhouse scotch, but I enjoy. I don't necessarily enjoy the nose on this, but I enjoy drinking it. So I'm going to give this a solid 2 because that creaminess of the palate is really nice, and I could just sit there and sip on that, and really, the price is a little high, so I'm going to give it a 2. But the creaminess on the palate's worth it to me.
Well,
Drew, what you got?
Well. We had a comment, I think today or yesterday, about how we should rate our scotch not based on price, but based on the taste after we had it. And I get that, but what we're trying to do is kind of really evaluate all the things, and when you're looking for a bottle in that liquor store, what's the best price for your palate and everything else. And I have to weigh that in my decision here a little bit.
That's what we do.
So I think that when we already talked about the nose was pleasant. It was honeycomb, vanilla. I think a hint of green apple, maybe pears or something, but very light. The palate is really smooth, creamy. It's delicious. It's short-lived. It doesn't last for a whole very long time. But when I look at that, it's a tasty Scotch. Do I like it? Yeah, I like it. Is it complex? No, not very much. But it's a good tasting Scotch. It's a very high quality Scotch. Now you look at that NES. You look at, was it $80 again for this bottle?
89, yeah.
God, that's a really high price tag for this. And now, if you're going for different types of scotches for $80, you start putting that in that options here. I'm not sure about the Scotch yet, so I'm going to say it's a high price for what we're getting, and I'm going to go 1.5 on this one. It's a little low. It's not bad, but the price and everything else brings it down for me.
All right. I'm going to go completely the other way. I agree with you. I think that the price is too high, and so I dinged it a little bit for that. But to me, this Scotch was not at all what I expected from after having Highland Park and expecting something similar at least. I mean, when you go to Isla and you're looking at those Scotches, they taste like that earth,
Right.
that area of
You can
ground
tell.
that
You can
they're
tell where it's from. Right.
So I'm expecting something more like that from this, and it's not at all like that. It's like sitting in an orchard in spring. You've got flowers and honey and sunshine, and it's just light and fun.
You can sing a song in a minute.
Rainbows and unicorns.
I don't know about unicorns. I say that for the normal. But it's a well put together Scotch. And normally when you have a neat Scotch, I expect a little bit of burn, and I usually don't get all the flavors to marry and get that creamy quality until you put a little bit of water on it. And then it seems like it helps marry everything together. This neat, everything was creamy and fun. Mm-hmm. It held the water pretty good.
Water was fine.
It lost a little bit on the nose, but it opened up the flavor profile a little bit, and you got some of that malt coming out. And it didn't have a huge linger effect for me, but there was a little bit of a linger. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna ding it on the price, but I'm still giving it a 2.5. I think it's well worth a 2.5.
All right. Talk about comments. I was reading comments today, and one of our big commenters, our big subscribers, Keith, had made a comment. Keith Peterson made a comment about, and he respects what how we rate these things and stuff. But one of the things he uses is, I'm gonna think about a bottle, but before I buy it, I'm wanting to know, am I gonna buy it a second time?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I read that. Mm-hmm.
So when I think about that, I'm like, I'm trying to keep that in check. I start with $90. If I'm going to buy it a second time at $90, it better be damn good. Because I know what I can get for $90, kids, and it's pretty good.
Good.
But I'm taken back on this. It's not what I expected. I tasted it. When I read the label, I'm like, ooh, American New Oak. I got to keep an open mind on this. I don't know if I want to like this. And it's not that.
No.
The nose, I gotta say, I wasn't really overly over the top impressed with it. There was a little bit of off-putting in there. You used that word, and I couldn't. Kind of green grass, a little bit or something. I put a little water on it. At first, didn't help. Let it sit there for 3 minutes while you guys are talking, and all right, now the nose has come around, and I start smelling that sweetness that you're liking in it. I think the water actually made it a little creamier and maltier on the palate, which I enjoyed. But overall, I think it's good. It was a surprise, but an NAS, $90, I would say, with not taking that in consideration, I'm at a 2. I got to take that in consideration. I'm going to take it at a 1.5 and go with it. I'm not saying it's horrible. I actually was impressed with
It tastes great. I mean,
with what I expected. I was taken back because I came in thinking I was going to be like, oh, I'm not really going to like this. Yeah. It's not that. But that the price hurt me a little bit. Yeah. If it would have kept with the 16, you keep a 16 on that thing, and then you come at 90. Oh, now I'm going to have to consider a little bit more. But how much was the Island Park 18?
120, $130,
$40 more, and I want to take that bottle of bud.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm just saying that I 1.5, and I don't misinterpret that as being something horrible, because I am glad you brought this home, and we're going to enjoy this.
Well, if you guys don't want it, I'll drink it.
No, I
just don't see
rainbows
back there. You can have
and butterfly.
It's
All right.
different. I like it. It's it's unique.
So 2.152515,
Figure that one out.
1.875.
Something like that.
Wow, leave
Yeah,
it to the
that's right.
engineer.
Look at that.
He needs another
That
Scott.
may not be right, but we'll see.
It's close enough to Mike.
Yep.
Right.
Cheers, guys. Thanks
Hey,
for
guys.
watching.
You know it's right.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.
Absolutely.